All right, let's dive right into today's explainer and unpack the surprisingly dynamic reality behind India's absolute largest financial institution. Look, if you follow the financial sector at all, you already know the name. But the numbers rolling out for the fiscal year 2026, they're painting a picture that might just flip everything you thought you knew about this market giant completely upside down.
For literally decades, this iconic brand has been viewed as a bit of a slow-moving, government-run giant, right? It's the rock-solid institution your parents and grandparents trusted without a second thought. But if we scratch just beneath the surface of that legacy reputation, their latest FY26 data reveals a totally different narrative. We are looking at a quiet digital transformation, and frankly, a sleeping giant that is finally waking up to modern market demands.
Just to truly wrap our heads around the sheer size of this entity, we have to look at their total assets under management, a staggering 57.29 lakh crore rupees. I mean, to put that into perspective, that is actually larger than the entire GDP of several countries. Let that sink in for a second. Because they manage one of the absolute largest pools of financial assets anywhere on the planet, their investment income alone acts as this massive profit driver. They aren't just an insurance company, they are a foundational pillar of the entire Indian financial ecosystem.
So here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at LIC's massive scale. Then we'll break down the FY26 financials, dive into the technicals and valuation, explore future growth triggers, and wrap it all up with the risks and a final verdict.
Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, Understanding LIC's massive scale. Let's look at how being this enormous acts as both an incredible protective moat, but also sometimes a pretty heavy anchor.
So, LIC absolutely dominates rural and semi-urban India, hands down. They command roughly 56% of the industry's premium market share. And how exactly did they pull that off? Through an absolute army of agents. We're talking nearly 1.5 million of them, 14.57 lakh to be precise. You combine that kind of boots-on-the-ground reach with the perceived safety of sovereign backing from the government of India, and you get a level of brand trust that is just off the charts. That distribution network is a moat that private competitors literally spend billions trying to replicate, usually without much success.
Moving right along to Section 2, FY26 Financial Performance Explained. How does a massive machine like this actually perform on the balance sheet?
Before we throw a bunch of raw numbers around, we really need to demystify one specific term, and that's embedded value, or EV. This is absolutely the most crucial metric you need to know for valuing any life insurance company. You can't just look at standard profit. Think of embedded value simply as their current net worth plus the present value of all the profits they expect to make in the future from the policies they've already sold.
And guys, here is where it gets seriously impressive. LIC's embedded value is sitting at an astonishing 7.89 lakh crore rupees. This gives them a monumental baseline of financial strength. For some context here, if this EV continues to expand and eventually crosses the 10 lakh crore mark, the broader market might completely re-rate how they value the entire company.
Now, the next metric is VNB, or Value of New Business. What's so interesting about this one is that it acts like a real-time health check for their operations. While EV looks at the whole picture, VNB tells us right now if the new sales they're making are actually generating high-quality, profitable margins today.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the big surprise in the FY26 results. A massive 41.6% year-over-year jump in VNB, bringing it up to 14,179 crore rupees. Honestly, this is probably the biggest positive takeaway in their entire earnings report. It proves the management strategy is actually working. They aren't just pushing more policies, they're writing much better quality, higher margin business. Combine that with a 19% jump in profit after tax and a super secure solvency ratio of 235%, and you can see why FY26 was undeniably one of their strongest years since they went public.
All right, jumping into Section 3, Technical and Valuation Analysis. Because the really crucial question here is how is the market currently pricing this surge in high-quality profit?
There is a fascinating tension going on between value and growth right now. On one hand, their incredibly cheap PE ratio is sitting near 9.06, which is absolute bargain territory when you compare it to their private peers. But then on the other hand, you have these robust net profit jumps, over 107% quarter-on-quarter and 23% year-over-year growth. You very rarely see a PE of 9 combined with growth numbers like that. And honestly, that's exactly why institutional interest is starting to heat up. Taking a quick look at the technicals to see how this translates to price action, we're seeing a very long 95-week flat-based consolidation. Also, there's the recent 2-for-1 stock split action that happened right around Friday, May 29th, 2026. This kind of drawn-out consolidation often acts as a massive launchpad, assuming the fundamentals support it, which, as we just saw with that crazy VNB jump, they absolutely do.
For those of you mapping the technicals based on pre-adjusted price structures, the levels are super clearly defined. We've got strong support zones clustering near 780, 750, and 720, all backed by a neutral RSI. On the upside, high-volume breakout above that 850 resistance zone is the absolute critical trigger level to keep an eye on. If it decisively clears that, technical targets quickly point up toward 900 and then that 52-week high of 980.
Which brings us to Section 4, Triggers for Future Growth. What are the specific catalysts that could actually push them through those heavy resistance zones?
Management is aggressively pulling three main levers here. First, they're pivoting hard toward an improved product mix, focusing heavily on those high-margin, non-participating, and protection plans. Second, the digital transformation is finally in full swing. They are pouring money into AI underwriting, online sales, and customer service apps. And third is cross-selling. With millions upon millions of existing customers, the opportunity to sell pension, health, and wealth products to an already captive audience is just immense.
Finally, Section 5, Risks and Final Verdict. Because let's be real, no solid investment thesis is ever complete without taking a hard look at the bear case.
We have to objectively weigh the pros and cons here. The bull case rests entirely on the sheer unstoppable force of their sovereign trust, that massive AUM and unmatched nationwide reach. But the bear case is very real. They do suffer from the friction of slower, government-constrained decision-making, plus any future stake sales by the government can easily create temporary downward pressure on the stock, a classic ownership overhang.
And let's not forget the competitive landscape, which is fierce. Yes, the Indian market remains massively underinsured compared to places like the US, UK, and Japan, which creates this amazing multi-decade growth runway. But LIC is fighting some highly nimble private competitors. HDFC Life is dominating premium products. SBI Life leverages a massive banking distribution network. And ICICI Prudential consistently boasts higher VNB margins. These private players are aggressively hungry for LIC's market share, and they innovate fast.
So, what's the final verdict? Well, it really depends on your investment lens. If you're a value investor, the current setup looks remarkably cheap given their market leadership and a PE near 9. But if you're a growth investor, you know you can't just rely on the legacy brand name. Those optimistic bull case targets of 1,100 to 1,250 absolutely depend on management consistently executing that digital rollout and proving they can sustain the incredible VNB and EV expansion we just saw in FY26.
Which leaves us with one final critical question to ponder as we step back and watch this historic industry clash unfold. With improving profitability metrics but very real structural constraints, can a 57 lakh core state-owned giant successfully out-innovate its nimble private rivals over the next decade? It is a fascinating dynamic to watch, and this FY26 data proves that, at the very least, they absolutely shouldn't be counted out.